Welcome to VOP this morning. I'm Moses Humphrey and I'm working with Esther Onwachuku. Now, I can't say if you've seen the video yet, but one sure fact is that it's been in circulation for a long time. Long enough to be a talking point. Niger Delta warlord Asari Dokubo appeared in a video in which he claims to be raising militants for President Bola Tinubu. Well, Dokubo, in a show of support, unveiled a group of militants said to be working for the president with a threat to crush anyone who seeks the president's downfall. Well, that story plus other story for today, the governor of Lagos, Babajide Sanwo-Olu-led administration, has blamed families of the late victims of the hashtag #EndSARS massacre for abandoning the bodies of their loved ones for the state for nearly 3 years. Now, these are the topics of interest that we will be looking into this morning. In the meantime, we'll be going to the front pages of some papers to find out the stories that made it to the cover pages of the papers. But while we do so, we'd like for you to click on the subscribe button, follow us, like our page on YouTube. We are Voice of the People TV. And on other social media platforms, it is at VOP TV Live. Now, don't forget, Voice of the People TV and at VOP TV Live. Well, I have joining me in the house, in the studio, Cyril Abaku. Cyril Abaku is a VOP in-house analyst. Good morning to you, Cyril.
Good morning, Moses.
Now, let's get straight into the cover page of some of the dailies that we have on our table today. We do have The Punch, the Nigerian Tribune, The Nation, and The Guardian. So let's start off with the Nigerian Tribune. Now, the banner headline here says how Tinubu can halt petrol pump price from hitting 1,000 naira. Experts say free market not synonymous with complete absence of regulation. On top of that one, we have Nigeria has disappointed itself. Africa, world. Obasanjo. Kwara governor approves 10,000 naira for workers' hazard allowances. 100% conmess for doctors. Excuse me. First female Yoruba professor, Olutoye, dies at 87. Tinubu pays tribute. All right. And also, we have some other headlines here. Reps election. Tribunal sacks LPs Okolie, declares Elumelu winner. 4 injured as 2-story building collapses in Ibadan. Reps vow to recover over $9 billion gas flaring levy from IOCs. Others. All right. I'm laughing because, there's a lot of promise. They say we will do this, but then you don't get to see anything happen. So it's just basically promises and promises. Well, I do hope that these promises will yield results and Nigerians will see, okay, the things that they are saying they will combat, they will fight, they're actually fighting it, and we are seeing the results. Some more headlines before I take your response. Gory details of Ore petrol tanker explosion. How pregnant women, 3 children were caught in inferno. 9-year-old boy trampled to death in ensuing melee. Mother sedated. Police confirm 8 deaths. All right, and also we have well, that's pretty much it. On top of the nameplate of the paper, we have Awolowo Dosumu to chair Odua Investment Foundation Advisory Council as company set to launch foundation. Inaugurates council July 7. Police arrest 4 suspects over attempted attack on Atiku's residence. 1 suspect confessed being a Boko Haram member. Cyril.
What a thing. Moses, quite frankly speaking, I have to tell myself, listening to these headlines from the Tribune, if I'm correct.
Yes, the Nigerian Tribune.
quite frankly, you can't blame the media for telling the world what is really going on. At the very most, it is our duty, our bounden duty, to tell the world as objectively as possible, you know, a balanced portrait, a balanced picture of the goings on. And then stand aside. It's not our duty to, we have no powers of elected officials to make laws or policy. We could influence, but to make laws or policy. Now you look at these headlines, you can go back to 1979, December, 1980, 81. President Obasanjo, the same things he said after he left office in 79 are the same things he has been saying since he left office in 2007. It's the same picture. It's when he's out of government that he begins to know all the best things that could have happened or that could have been done. No, but it's true. Typified by the letters he always writes. He wrote to Shagari, to Abacha, you know, Jonathan Buhari. You know, the letters he always writes. It's the same. It's the same thing that we've been seeing. You come to the oil spill. People, you know, when they saw the tanker, the oil was coming out. The next thing they did was to begin to scoop, you know, against better judgment. And as we are scooping, 20 persons, and that's the figure that we even have. 20 persons were, I don't know if the total has gone up now. 20 persons were burnt to death. Moses, we've not declared a day of national mourning. You know, it's normal. I always say this thing. It's normal.
But should we declare a day of national mourning when it was the doings of the people themselves?
No, but of course.
Because it was because there was an oil spill and they went there to scoop it.
No.
Now, we know that the public has been warned several times not to scoop oil when there is, you know, when there's a spill from a tanker, or not to vandalize an oil pipeline. But we see Nigerians, you know, doing these things regardless of the warnings. So should we now declare a day of national mourning?
That's like blaming the victim. If, for example, they had been arrested at the scene. By the way, I am not. We have never done that kind of thing before. That oil spilled, and that because people were scooping, they were arrested or anything like that. I've never seen it happen. It is not enough to warn. We need to check. You see tankers from Apapa sometimes they're passing. They are not strapped. On Oju Elegba, almost every year, it's like a ritual. Almost every year, the one tanker will fall over, crush people to death. How? Have you ever seen government arresting a truck or tanker, whatever, because they didn't strap the containers? I've never seen it happen till now.
It just happened.
Well, but I mean, not enough to deter them from substantially ending that practice. People have died, and it seems as if nobody died. Life goes on normally. Believe me, tomorrow, if another oil spills somewhere again, didn't think that they're not going to scoop, they still got to go and scoop. So what is that thing that we have not done? It's like when I talk about road accidents, the one that happened in Makurdi or Benue the other day. No investigation. Was the tanker fit to be on the road? Nobody's going to ask those questions. Where did they load? Are they supposed to be even driving in the daytime? These are the issues that nobody talks about these things. It happened, you know, it happened, it was reported, end of discussion. It shouldn't be like this. Whether they put themselves into it or it came to them, the mere fact that we lost 20 persons in one day, as in on the spot, we are born to death in 2020. How are we even sure that all of them went out to go and scoop? What if a mother saw her child running to go and scoop and she went to rescue the child? How about that? How about scenarios like that? We just write this and say 20 scoopers were born to death and life goes on. That's why I say we are not acting like the higher species of animals that we ought to be acting like. Which is that we should be able to control thought and determine action. But we don't do that. You have police, FRSC, all these groups. Nobody can we look, Moses, we and really we shouldn't get tired of this. Can somebody sit back and say, it is my duty to investigate, assess, evaluate everything that happened? And let's even face it, what really happened in Ore? Can we go to Ore and ask these questions? But
well,
it just
the story has it that there was a tanker. The tanker spilled and spilled its oil, and then people went there, and somebody was on the phone, and then there was a, you know, the fire. You know, you don't use phones where there's fuel. So it caught fire. That was what, you know,
May I,
escalated.
may I even say, do we think that a tanker spilling its content, petrol, diesel, whatever, is normal? It's not normal. It is not. Look, engineering and technology is designed to prevent exactly what happened in Ore. To be very frank. So the question is, what really, first of all, what led to the spillage? We are not talking about what the company may say or what the driver may say if he survived. We are talking about what an investigative report must bring to the table. What really happened? It is not normal. We shouldn't take it that in a tanker they spill now it spill that. It's not so. How often do you see filling stations catching fire? How often do you see that happen? It's not normal. These things are designed to prevent exactly. Look, the way the water drum in the house, for example, has water. If you hit this, is it still iron or whatever? If you hit it like this, when it's empty, you may hear sound. But for the fuel tanker, if you hit it even when it's empty, you shouldn't hear sound. You know the way they reinforce that thing with sand and whatever. Well, I don't know the thing they use, but they build it. The welding that goes into that is not the same welding you have on your roadside. So why is the tanker spilling? Nobody asked that question. Obasanjo said Nigeria has disappointed itself, disappointed Africa, disappointed the world. Oftentimes, the dilemma you have with the man is separating the messenger from the message. Of course, there was a time Obasanjo himself was military head of state, 76 to 79, and later president, 99 to 2007. He cannot, in all sincerity, say that he's not a part of the problem. That will not be fair. But you see, what happened in Ore is a typical case of a country that has no rules or regulations, or even when they have it, they don't look at the rule books. You know, so the failing is on many levels. It's on many layers. Internally, we failed ourselves. Even at home, you heard when they came and said that pipelines we are running through under churches, and I said, you cannot be lying. This is not. Leave propaganda out of this matter. The materials you use to build pipelines and what you use to siphon oil are not normal regular. It's not like going to get a bottle of soft drink which you can buy anywhere. When people began to, because of course people who buy those things are investing in it. When people began to buy these things off the market, when there was an uptick of purchase, didn't our intelligence agencies begin to notice that people are buying things that can cause an economic sabotage? For example, those heavy welding equipment and all those things. They didn't notice it. They didn't see it. And somebody was able to put a pipeline through a church. Come on. That's collusion at a very big level. So so when we say Nigeria has failed, we look at Ore, we look at all these things. It is not that Nigeria cannot work. It is that those who have the power to make it work have deliberately connived to make it fail.
Yeah, still talking about the failure of Nigeria. Let me link this to it. It's also a headline. It has a pictorial. The pictorial has this writer: protests rock Benin over hardship caused by petrol price hike, and then the placards, placard carrying civil society organizations. They have these inscriptions: say no to continuous hike in fuel price. FG, allow the poor breathe. Fuel price is choking us. FG, allow the poor to breathe. Cost of living, I can't say this, but cost of living, it says something about going high. Poor Nigerians, lives matter. We say no to constant, it's really tiny, I can't say, but hey, what do you...
No, the thing is this, the people can make their voices heard in a number of ways. If you see the labor unions speaking up, I believe they are speaking up for the masses. They are speaking up for workers, basically, both formal and informal sector, which basically, so when you say, especially the informal sector, which is really the backbone of the economy, service and so on, it means that the labor union is basically speaking for people, for the masses, really. The reality is that in a sane society, where government will unilaterally raise the prices of, school fees gone, petrol price up, transport costs up, everything just going up, 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 up. There is sky high inflation today. Food prices unimaginably high. I think the population of that country are, is it absent as present or present as, no, they are present as absent. They are not there. What ought to happen is that by now there should have been a multi-sectoral engagement of government to say you cannot do, you can't do this. What happened in Nigeria in 2012 that was in spite of far-reaching negotiations. Some persons came together to connive and say the Jonathan government must not take the glory for taking off subsidy. We must put it to shame. Today, where are they now? They are in government. Their friends who are not in government have kept quiet. I remember when in 2016, Buhari was saying, said he was going to take subsidy. In fact, he didn't remove subsidy. He just shout up the price of petrol. They call it price variation when Nnpcl was Minister of State for Petroleum. I remember Shehu Sani coming up to say, look, guys, we can't do this. We were the ones who told Jonathan he couldn't remove subsidy without putting the refineries to work and so on. And suddenly you come up to say, to do the same thing, and it was not as if you are removing subsidy, nothing had changed. You are not removing subsidy, you just unilaterally increase the price of petrol. This is not done. What happened? He lost his bid to come back to the Senate. So, until I think that this is where the matter should really rest, and let me come to it. After we came back to democracy in 1999, the Nigerian mind, the public mind, was still attuned with the high-handedness of militaristic rule, in which they say, Oga de Komu, Oga de Komu. Oga in their mind is a gun-wielding, militaristic person. A person whose power you can't question. Obasanjo came. We saw what happened in Odi and what happened in Benue, in General Victor Malu's village. Okay, so such high-handedness is what Nigerians are used to when it comes to power. But in 1999, beginning of 1999, what we could have done was to begin to redemocratize, reconscientize, resensitize the Nigerian mind to say, look, we've gone away from that power that I can't question. Democracy is the power that you can engage, you can question, you can relate with, you can ask questions. So if we had done that, people by now would have been fully armed with knowledge. Even when police people stop and touch on the road, they engage people differently. Somebody said one time, Mr. Soldier, if you're going to search me, put one hand up and use one hand only. So he knew that this man understood his rights. They stop you on the road and say, open your boot, we're going to search your boot. The policeman has no right to search your boot on his own. You must lock your door, come to the back, stand with him to search it together. In fact, if they came to your house to search your house, you must search them first. All of these are in the laws. But because Nigerians are not aware of the power they hold, in any case, why should they feel empowered if you're a governor, council chairman, or president, and they know that they didn't vote for you, that you bulldoze away to power, you build away to power? Why will they feel a connection to be able to hold you to account?
All right, let's touch on another daily now, and I'm going to start from this that also links to your last point there, talking about Obasanjo's statement. The Punch reports it as most Nigerian leaders' knowledge of development shallow, Obasanjo. And then let's go on to some of the headlines here. Forensic crisis, passengers groan. I beg your pardon, Forex crisis. Passengers groan as foreign airlines hike fares. Navy won't stop burning vessels ferrying stolen crude. Navy won't stop burning vessels ferrying stolen crude. I had to take that one again. And then the Punch, I beg your pardon, right underneath the nameplate of the paper, we have subsidy paying. Labour talks tough. ASU, protesters condemn relief plans. SANU, that's SSANU, ASU say fuel subsidy unintelligently removed. NLC meets today. What's today's date?
Today is 25th of July, Tuesday, 25th of July.
All right. TUC rejects 5% telecom tax, planned tuition hike. Kwara, Ogun, roll out palliatives. And then the protest in Bini also makes it to the cover page of the Punch newspaper. And then underneath that one, we have supervisors, invigilators selling WAEC questions online, arrested, on trial. WAEC boss. Pregnant women, children among Ondo tanker fire victims. Eyewitness. And 3 Osun students hospitalized as gunmen opened fire on barber's shop. All right, Cyril.
Well, the one that affects our children, well, especially coming from the hills of Midsummer's ordeal, you have people, WAEC officials, who are selling examination questions online. Actually, Moses, I don't know if you're aware of what they call miracle centers. Oh,
yes,
great. Miracle centers, okay. So there are even websites. I came across a website many years ago that was into this business. Miracle Center. And, no, not it has a name, okay, but it's
Special
center. But this was a website, and you can, I mean, you could even Google it to see it. A website that what were they even doing there? I think they sold questions, and also, you know what they call dissolve to and so people log on there. It's transactional.
The website.
It really is a website operating website, real website, and people knew it.
And people pay to log in or what?
How did I get to people? No, you will see. Maybe when you want to now engage them, maybe you now pay. But the website is that they sell. I think they sell special forms. Everything is
Special.
Yeah, special forms. Now they call it Miracle Center. So, but this is the problem, Moses. Don't let us take it for granted. Where you've arrested 5, there could be a whole lot more, because there are collaborators, and these things didn't begin today. This thing didn't begin today. School principals are involved. Whole school proprietors are involved. In fact, there are schools that have
students want to pass exams by all
parents who can afford, who don't want their children to. Because the fact is this: there are schools that have reputation that if you pay for WAEC in this school, your miracle is sure. And people go there to patronize them. When examination form,
they tire them. Miracle no dey tire them.
Miracle no dey tire them. When the normal fee for GC or JAMB is 10,000 naira, and the school is saying pay 50,000, don't ask questions, just pay 50,000. What do you think they want to do with it? Why should you pay through the roof? A lot of, and I mean, it will shock you that a lot of these big schools that charge heaven and earth in the name of giving children the best of education, an examination time comes and it's a different ballgame entirely, because they don't want it to be that somebody that who sat exams in their school didn't make it. But the fact is that if children don't study and grow organically, it will affect them in future. It will tell on them somewhere, because a child, education is not just in learning, it's in character and in learning. The character formation, discipline, aptitude, resilience, succeeding from where you failed. If they learn all these things from that point, but the moment they miss at that level, they come to main life. Where anything bad wants to happen, they want to make sure that they can afford or do anything it is to prevent. You cannot always avert certain things from happening. It is part and parcel of life. What we are guaranteed is to learn from every experience and become stronger. So when we want to jump the gun for these children, in future they can't work, they can't keep their jobs. There are a lot of things that they can't do on their own.
And then they feel entitled.
And they
feel entitled.
Exactly. So this is the problem. WAEC should do more than this. In fact, from the way some of us look at this,
also do something. Parents should also adjust their ways.
No.
It's not just on the table of
WAEC. If there are parents who move their children from schools that offer them this corruption, but there are very few. The point is this: WAEC, or maybe WAEC, police, and so on. Where, in my view, I feel that yearly, people that could be arrested should be in the hundreds, if not even thousands. It is true now, Moses. Don't you know this? It is true. They should be in the thousands.
All right, let's touch on The Guardian now. Guardian has this banner headline: "Made in Nigeria smartphones fumble as monthly importation hits 50 billion naira." And then they gave a breakdown of critical metals in a smartphone. All right. Now, beside that one, we go into some more political stories. Akpabio eyes constitutional role for traditional rulers as Abbas commits to restructuring. Tribunal nullifies LP candidate selection, declares PDP's Elumelu winner. Petrol subsidy, making palliatives work for the people. And then underneath, right at the bottom there, you have mass burial. Amnesty International tackles Lagos government on identities of #NSAS victims. As creativity goes awry under guise of skit-making pranks. And then we have Nigeria has failed Africa. Poorly implemented policies drive Nigerians to poverty. Obasanjo laments. All right, so these are the headlines in the cover page of the Guardian newspaper. Now, before you respond, let's lump it with the headlines from The Nation as well. From The Nation, we have foreign inflows rise by 70% in Q2. On top of the nameplate, we have Tinubu will fix insecurity, says Akpabio. Senate backs rule for rulers. And then we also have how we will end sit at home by state governments. Kanu not in support. Resident doctors give conditions to halt planned strike. Tribunal sacks Delta LP rep for Elumelu. And then we have the banner headline here. Subsidy removal. More states roll out palliatives. Kwara, Ogun, Imo announce support for workers. Jigawa boosts farmers. Others. Trade Union Congress seeks quick action. All right. Why industries shun discos by experts. NERC criticizes high electricity consumption rate by households. Now they're not paying for it. All right, so these are the headlines in the the cover page.
Well, Moses, they are quite a number, and I don't know if you want me to pick any particular one that
feel free. Just put your hand in the jar.
Akpabio. I like politics. So Akpabio, what's Akpabio saying? Iron role for traditional laws in the constitution. I don't think it will be necessary. Except maybe he too is, trying to give us something to just talk about to keep the news hounds busy. But what role does he plan to give to them? We're democracy. All right. Don't do more than what we. India, for example, came up in 1973. India to abolish the traditional whatever system, and said we are going to embrace parliamentary democracy, in its entirety, and that's what they've done. So I think if you have the federal government, state government, and local government as tiers of government in the country, local government that caters to the needs of the people at the grassroots. I mean, colonialism came, independence came, democracy came. We've embraced a new way of life. Nigerians, if you did a referendum today, I don't think there are very many Nigerians who will be willing to say we should go back entirely to the traditional system of government. I remember that in 1985, the Babangida administration set up the political bureau led by Professor S.J.S. Kuki to basically to work out a new political civilization for Nigeria. And in the course of their findings, all sorts of things were tinkered with. There was a diarchy which could have involved military and civilians living together. Military, that is military and elected people forming government. It almost came to pass in 1993 when Babangida was military president, and you have elected governors. All right. So that if that had remained, that could have been it. Of course, it was a diarchy actually. Then there was another one that was suggested, which was going to be a triarchy involving the military, civilian leaders, and traditional rulers. So, for example, the Oba of Benin will be in government. The governor of Edo will be in government. Maybe then the president will be in government. then the military maybe. So perhaps well, I don't know how they would have done it, but it didn't. I mean, how it could become too cumbersome, okay? And it's not necessary. I think democracy would work. We've not allowed democracy to work, actually. We've not. Rigging elections, corruption, tribalism, and so on. We have simply not allowed democracy to work. When we allow democracy, until we allow democracy to breathe, we can't say it has failed.
All right, so allow democracy to breathe, allow Nigerians to breathe. Everything is being choked right now. we all want to breathe. I must say a very big thank you to you, Cyril Abaku, VOP in-house analyst. Thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure, Moses.
All right, up next on VOP this morning, Mr. President. Is Mr. President aware that a warlord is raising an army of militants to defend him? You might ask, defend the commander-in-chief from what exactly? Well, details coming soon. Stay with us. We'll be back in a bit.